Welcome to another webisode from Christ of the Desert Monastery. It's on total renunciation. The monastic life is one of the ways of following Christ. It's not the only way, but it's one of the many ways of following Christ. And like any of the ways of following Christ, the monastic life calls for renunciation. Well, Jesus told us, if anyone wants to be my follower, my disciple, let him deny himself. But what is characteristic of the renunciation in the following of Christ within the monastic context is a total renunciation. Total. It is the monk's free and voluntary death to all persons, to all things, and to everything, in order to follow Christ. So it is death to all. It is doing violence to oneself. That is to say, the deprivation in one's life for the sake of Christ. It is a rejection of the world, that is, the complex of men, attitudes, and practices which represent rebellion against God and opposition to God and His grace. You will recall that the Desert Fathers, the first monks of the desert, while they were not priests, they did not study philosophy nor theology. They were plain laymen, but they were called Desert Fathers because of their expertise in the labyrinthine way towards God. They left the world. And this is described by spirituality as fuga mundi. Fuga, flight. Flight from the world. And they went to the deserts and they lived there in authentic response to the gospel of Christ. From then on, they would stay away from the ordinary framework of societal living and live on the margins of society. Now, what is this world that they left? It is not the world understood as redeemed by Christ, understood as the world which God loved so much that He sent His only begotten Son to save the world. But the world they left is the mundane spirit, the worldly spirit, in its four principal manifestations. And the first manifestation of the mundane or worldly spirit is worldly attitudes. Worldly attitudes. Now, what are these worldly attitudes? Well, they are the maxims, the slogans, and adages which are directly opposed to the teachings of Christ. For instance, let's take a worldly attitude. Trust me, condom. Condom. And then trust me. Oh, they even associate the virtue of trust to condom. Or think of a real human and things like those. Oh, never mind morality. Be practical now. Now, what do these maxims and slogans and adages exalt? They exalt pleasures, comforts, riches, fame, might, and even violence. The world advises men and women to enjoy the good life. Oh, enjoy the good life. To make most of what this people offers and to find security in worldly values, in riches, in fame, in honor, in properties, in cars, etc. So, this is what the Desert Fathers left when they went to the desert. And they did not want anything of this sort of maxims, slogans, and attitudes to find inroads in their lives. What else did the Desert Fathers leave when they went to the desert? They left people with worldly and mundane attitudes. The men and women of this world ridicule, and persecute those who strive to live honestly, decently, and respectably. Yeah, one might recall the case of Cardinal Pell. Oh, they persecuted him. He was chosen to reform the finances of the Vatican. But when he started doing the reform, then there is all kinds of, cases against him, even child abuse. And he was freed by the court of Australia. So these are the people, the men and the women, the Desert Fathers left. Well, even among us priests, there are such kinds of ridicules and persecutions. One time I told a group of priests of the Priest Assembly of Nueva Segovia, over my dead body, you cannot be ridiculing me. Over my dead body. Of course, they were taken aback by what I said and said, over my dead body. Then we have practices of the world, practices of mundane and worldly people. This is also what the Desert Fathers left when they left the world. Now, what are some of these practices? excesses in sex. Oh my. This is a problem in our world today. Excesses in alcohol, drugs. Well, the President of the Republic has made it as one of his main duty as the President of the Republic of the Philippines to put an end to this drug business. But I think he has not succeeded in trying to get rid with the drug lords. Excesses in clothing. Oh, we have all kinds of fads of clothing. You know that the women who come here to the monastery, although we are living in a rather secluded place, but well, they know the latest fad in fashion. And then when they come to Mass, they wear those clothing. And one time I told a lady, I called the attention of a lady. She's dark complexion, but she wore flaming red. It does not fit her complexion. And jokingly I told her, well, all what you need is a coffin. So you have all kinds of pleasures and diversions, etc. Well, there's a good number of Catholics who comply with the Sunday Mass by attending an anticipated Sunday Mass on Saturday afternoon, but the next day they do anything and everything they want. The problem with this kind of practices is people are made to believe that the abnormal becomes the normal thing. And this is precisely what the Desert Fathers left when they left the world of the Roman Empire. What else constitutes the mundane or worldly spirit? Scandalous acts and bad examples. At this juncture, we might recall the sex scandal committed by Catholic priests. Oh, it's getting worse. I've been reading 2 books published in the U.S. critiquing this kind of pontificate, and I could not believe